Hello, my dear friends. My name is Miss Eerie, and I want to share a horror story with you guys. A story so tragic and haunting that it will grip your very soul. This is the tale of Ruhan and Zoya, a couple whose love was so pure, so intense, that it defied the boundaries of life and death. They were the kind of couple you'd see in a storybook. Perfect smiles, whispered secrets under the starry sky, hands clasped tight as if the world could never pry them apart. But little did they know that fate had written a darker, more chilling chapter for them, one that no love story should ever have. Ruhan was the kind of boy who believed in love with every breath he took. His heart beat only for Zoya, a girl whose laughter could light up a room and whose eyes held galaxies. Their love was raw and real, full of playful banter and promises whispered in the quiet corners of their world. But life has a cruel way of testing the strongest hearts. And one day, as the golden sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in crimson and violet, tragedy struck. It was an ordinary day that spiraled into horror, a deafening crash, the sound of tires screeching, and then a sickening silence. Zoya was gone, taken from the world in a heartbeat. The news hit Ruhan like a storm, tearing through his chest and leaving nothing but jagged shards of grief. He reached out, desperate, his fingers curling into emptiness, his voice hoarse as he begged to see her, to hold her just one last time. But Zoya's family, shattered and steeped in their own pain, denied him. No, they said, their faces stern, their eyes hollow. They shut the door on him, on his grief, on his final goodbye. Have you ever felt that kind of pain? The kind that claws at you from the inside, leaving you gasping for air? That was Ruhan, a ghost of the boy he once was. And as Zoya was laid to rest beneath the cold, unyielding earth, Ruhan found himself standing alone in the shadowy graveyard, the wind howling around him as if mocking his agony. The world said, "True love is always incomplete." And as he stood there, he began to believe it. The graveyard became his second home, the place where he whispered to the stone that marked where Zoya now lay, hoping against hope for a sign, a touch, a whisper of her presence. As days bled into weeks, Ruhan unraveled. His once bright eyes dulled, his voice became a rasp, and whispers began to circulate. The boy was losing his mind. He would sit under the pale moon, muttering to the wind, laughing at memories that only he could see. But then, something changed. One cold, mist-laden night, as the branches of the ancient trees creaked like the whispers of ghosts, Ruhan felt a chill run down his spine. There, amidst the shifting shadows, a figure stood. His heart pounded, hope and terror dancing a cruel waltz in his chest. It was Zoya. Or was it? Her face was pale, almost translucent, eyes glistening with a sadness that shouldn't belong to the living. She moved closer, her steps silent as if she floated on air. "Ruhan," she whispered, her voice a fragile echo. For a heartbeat, he froze, not daring to breathe, afraid that if he blinked, she'd disappear like a cruel mirage. "Is this real?" he whispered, his voice quivering. "And here's a twist for you." She nodded, her eyes softening with the same love they once held. But something was different, something beyond the grave. Zoya spoke, and it wasn't just the soft, soothing voice he remembered. It was layered, a blend of sorrow and an otherworldly echo. "You have to come back to life, Ruhan. You have to let me go." Can you imagine that? Being told by the one you loved, the one you mourned for, to move on? But Zoya wasn't here to haunt him. She was here to heal him. The nights that followed were eerie, filled with moments where Ruhan would wake up to find her sitting by his bedside, silent, watching over him. The air crackled with an electric chill whenever she appeared, and sometimes, just for a moment, he thought he could see the shadows move in the corners of the room, as if they were alive, watching their tragic reunion unfold. One night, as a storm lashed against his window and lightning cracked the sky, illuminating the room in a white, ghostly glow, Zoya spoke once more. "Ruhan, you have to promise me something." He shivered, not from the cold, but from the fear that twisted his insides like a vice. "Anything," he whispered. She leaned closer, and for the first time, he saw tears fall from her eyes, glistening like diamonds before they disappeared into thin air. "Live well. Take care of yourself. Eat, sleep, laugh. For me." And just like that, the storm outside seemed to pause, holding its breath as the weight of her words settled in. But here's the real kicker. She wasn't alone. The room, for a split second, was filled with whispers, low and urgent, as if a crowd had gathered, unseen and restless. Ruhan jolted awake, gasping, his heart slamming against his ribs. The room was empty, but the warmth of her presence lingered, like a ghostly embrace. He rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the dream, but he knew, deep in his bones, that it was more than just a figment of his mind. That night, he sat in the dark, piecing together the fragments of his heart, feeling a strange calm wash over him. Zoya was gone, yes, but she had never really left. And as he sat there, recalling their laughter, their shared moments under the starlit sky, he realized that she had given him a gift: permission to live. The days that followed were different. The graveyard visits grew less frequent, and the shadows in his room no longer felt suffocating. But here's where the twist comes in. One night, just as Ruhan was drifting off to sleep, a soft, familiar voice echoed in his ears. "Don't forget me," it said, and this time, it wasn't a plea, it was a promise. He opened his eyes, expecting the room to be empty, but there, just for a fleeting moment, was a flicker of Zoya's smile before it vanished into the night air, leaving behind a single tear on his pillow. And that, my friends, is the story of Ruhan and Zoya, a love so deep that even death could not silence it. True love, they say, is incomplete, but sometimes, in the echoes of the night and the whisper of the wind, it finds a way to linger. Thank you for watching, and if you felt a chill run down your spine or a tear slide down your cheek, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Until next time, this is Miss Eerie, reminding you that love, like a haunting, never truly fades.